Alright, so back at it again. This time with, I'm gonna say part 2 instead of just being like day 2 or whatever. Just because I was like, this could go on for a while, and I'm gonna try to see if I can condense some of this stuff and not to hold anybody's time that may watch this or anything like that. So part 2, day 2, 3, whatever, however it is that I go about this, of this Hurricane Helene experience or whatever. I was like, also, so from the first video, I was like, if anybody seen that, I forgot to mention that when my power got knocked out, so did the meter off of my house, and me just randomly seeing it on the ground in the midst of basically, I was like, it might have been after the storm passed or whatever like that. I just popped that thing back on my house, and I don't think I was necessarily supposed to do that, but also the power wasn't on, so thank God for that. But yeah, so day 2, after like I was like almost back, to them day before, light bulbs was invented, where just like you had to basically do everything by candlelight. Next day, people up. You already see people out here cooking already, people mowing their lawn, because I was like, what the hell else are you going to really do at this point? But you learn real quickly that because there's still no power, there's still no service, that everything very sketchy, and you start seeing how everything sort of hits really fast of the fact that you're like, okay, cool. Water, what do we do? Gas, what do we do? And things like that. And this is sort of where I was like, as I am saying that, I was like, I'm somebody that normally is prepared in just a kind of a regular situation. I was like, this was a different experience. I was sort of dumb, and by that I mean like, I was like, even though I sort of knew like, hey, power would go out or something like that, I did already have like water and canisters and things like that, just in case where I have like the water, be it at my house, even though I'm at my folks' house. But I still was prepared for that situation. But while I did that, I didn't get gas in my car, even though the day before I was out seeing the gas. Then I was like, at the same time, we're trying to figure out like, where can you get gas from? And then everybody's like, oh, what about this place? Well, no, because then you start learning that these places are sort of washed out. These places, I was like, these places ain't up. And guess what? Because everything is now digital, whether it's the ATM or the gas station themselves or your phone and stuff like that, you start realizing all these places aren't up and functional in a lot of spots. So, but before, I was like, but while that was one of the things on our mind or whatever, we were thinking like, okay, what are we going to do about food? Because guess what? You can't really, there's nothing to access about food at this moment. So at this moment, I was like we got, like, the thing is, you don't realize also the food you have is not really the food to survive in a situation like this. Because, like, guess what? Most of that food has to be cooked. You don't really have a lot of food that you are able to just eat straight up. So guess what? Some of your canned foods that's in, I was like, yeah, you can eat it straight out the can and whatever like that. I'm not over here being like, like you necessarily need to heat this food up, because you don't, or whatever. Whether you got like canned greens or canned corn and all this other stuff or whatever, it just sort of makes it better or whatever like that. I think the easiest thing that most people probably come to mind that you like, can you eat out straight out of a can? Probably beans, which is true. And I was like, I look back at my college days, I was like, that's why some of this, I was like, we used to just eat ravioli straight out the can sometimes, because we were just hungry, and there was no way to get food on campus in a lot of situations, or you ain't got money like that. So I was like, whatever. I was like, a lot of this stuff I could pop out or whatever. But there's no way to really, unless you can't microwave nothing, can't use the oven, unless, you basically got like, like you got a gas oven and all the electrical, you screwed. So my idea was, I was like, hey, I got stuff at my house that while it's not food, it's something to get to buy until we're able to get that thing. So that, I was like, that was part of our mission, and also gas. While in this, from the first video, the incident with those people and stuff like that, we see them coming back, and so the thought of our head is like, oh Lord, I was like, they gonna come back, or they gonna do something or whatever like that. But after a while, we just sort of just like whatever. So in this, it's like, all right, cool. I was like, my folks, they went off, I went off, and we really didn't have no plan because you don't have service, you don't have anything. You just sort of know like, hey, we're just gonna meet back up here, kind of thing. So I decided I'm gonna run back to my house. Cool. I was like, because the last time I was aware everything was like underwater and all these trees and stuff. So I was like, okay, the only way I could go back is to basically retrace my steps and go back. Cool, simple enough, right? Except for as I do, somehow in that amount of time, now there's a sinkhole in half of the road. Now, I'm like, what do? I don't have no other way to go about it. And I looked at the sinkhole, and then I was like, it's not the whole road. I sort of just drove on the other half and a little bit up the hill and weaved my way through the whoever put these barriers up, and I just went through. What a smart decision at the time? Probably not, but also, listen, it's sort of like different measures. You just kind of do it. This ain't me over here being like, oh, I'm gonna walk the road, or I don't want to venture out and whatever. I was like, okay, we got to kind of do these things. And at the same time, I'm like, I don't know how I'm necessarily gonna get back doing this, but hey, this is what I'm gonna do. So I decided to go ahead and be like, hey, run to my house, grab all the snacks, all the little things here. I was like, I ain't have nothing crazy, wheat thin, Pop-Tarts, vanilla wafers. I was trying to think of anything that's not perishable and stuff like that. I just grabbed oranges. I was like, I was just grabbing stuff that is just like, look, if I got to make a wheat thin vanilla orange sandwich, I guess that's what I'm gonna have to do. So I come here. I was like, ooh, okay, cool. I was like, and at this moment in time, I'm like, okay. I just was like looking at the water, whatever, and I was like, my water was a little cloudy, a little gray, and you did it and dissipated, and I was like, that's not a good sign. But hey, I was like, but I wasn't getting water, so I was like, I'm gonna business, and I'm gonna just go ahead and dip out, right? And talk about the longest trip ever, because like I said, you don't know what's open, you don't know where to go with anything. And I'm just over here trying to figure out routes. How do you get? I was like, cause once again, you're stuck in the same situation. Can't go that way. Can't go this way. I guess I'm gonna try, kind of thing. But I was like, so that was another part of it. But the way I was like, we sort of had to go interstate wise of that way of trying to get to cause the only gas station we heard about was this one that they just happened to build about like a month or so ago, and that's the one that happened to have gas. Going over there, guess what? You just start seeing that it's a madhouse. Like, it's not really open. I was like, but you see they're starting to like lines forming, so you can see like maybe they're about to let people inside, but that's probably like a food going to the convenience store, that type of thing. You don't really want to. I was like, I don't really want to mess with that. I'm here on a mission, and I need to get gas. But you sort of pull up to these pumps, and you just like, oh, okay, whatever I heard about earlier that day, nothing. I was like, because I was like, the thing is, I was like hearing about people going to get gas. You start hearing that people really left out like 5 in the morning and stuff like that. So things are gone pretty much by the time I'm up at like 10 or 11. Like, things are done for the most part. And this is where I said I wasn't prepared with my car being full of gas. I was like, I happened to pass a gas station on the way to my house, and it didn't dawn on me to be like, let me see if that place got gas, because I couldn't really tell if people were getting gas. But I was like, that wasn't on my mind. My mind was on my mind. I was like, wasn't money, but getting food was on my mind. So I was like, when I did finally get here, I was like, man, if I would have just got gas the other day like I normally do, I normally fill it up, especially paycheck time. I always fill up my car. I didn't for some odd reason. I don't know, or whatever. So now I'm like, okay, that place ain't got gas. And then I'm just like, the other truck, I was like, the other truck stop flooded. You can't, there ain't no, you gotta swim. So I'm just like, I just happen to be over here, and I'm just like, I guess I'm gonna just be here, and I guess I was like, I tried to go to the next town, basically. Try to go to Asheville, and I try to go that way. But after a while of driving, you realize there's nothing there. I had to make a decision of like, okay, I got just enough to basically. And I was like, I told him me going back to the house because that really was about nothing. But I was like, I basically had the gas to be like, I could go to my house and I go back over here to my mom's house, and I got probably enough gas to do that if I had to go ahead and turn around right now. And I was like, screw it, I guess that's what I'm about to do. But then that's when I was like I said, she was already filled the capacity or whatever they were doing there, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm gonna have to turn around. But in the going for the exit, there was a line to where I was like, oh, people are getting gas here. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I'm gonna stay in line here. Look, it was, I want to say it took me about 45 minutes to get through, but in these spots, you're waiting for hours to the point that you start seeing people just getting out of their car, trekking down, because you got to see what's going on. You got to see if you're wasting time or not, because you're also just wasting gas sitting there. So you just see people with that. I was like, some people just got canisters, so they just over here to like, whatever, I'm going to just see if I can fill up my canisters and all this other stuff. So I'm waiting in line, I was like, and I'm getting up there, and then I'm like, and it just starting to seem like people are like, there's nothing left. And I'm like, oh man, I done wasted all my time in this line. And a lady happened to come through, and she was like, they still got gas. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, but they only take it cash. I was like, damn. All right. So, do I got any of these stripper bills on me? And not like I said, this goes back to another thing. Normally, I normally got cash on me in a good amount. You know what I'm saying? Like in situations like these or something like that, you know, nothing crazy. You know, I ain't over here like got bucko bucks or nothing like that. But I got enough to get myself, you know, at least like, I was gonna say a McDonald's combo, but them things expensive now. But at least enough to, you know, get at least like, you know, like at least 3 miss and match type of sandwiches. So I was like, cool. And I was like, but I'm looking, I don't see nothing. Like the spots where I normally got something empty, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. And then I just happened to keep on looking, because I ain't got nothing else better to do. You just sitting in line. I found $10, and I was like, cool, this at least gets me at least for like a day or so. It really didn't. But I was like, I was able to go up there, and I was like, pay with my $10. But that's when you start hearing from other people and hearing people talk that where they're coming from and stuff like that. You realize like, oh, you came, like, what's going on to where you had to come all the way here? How did you even get here? Where they start telling you, like, they're like, oh, that place is either empty or don't have nothing, or that place is gone, it's a wreck, it's washed out, and you start realizing that as hectic as it is where I'm at, there's a lot more of these places that are way worse off or not even there anymore. And it's just, but at the same time, you just kind of like are doing what you got to do. So you're like registering it, but you're not fully taking it in, because guess what? It's all a scramble right now. Like, it's like you can't even be like, oh, you can't even get into the, oh, that's a shame, or that sucks, or that's horrible kind of thing. You're just like, you're just taking the information and it's like, okay, so no, I'm not going to venture out anywhere. I was like, that's a waste of time. I'm going to just sort of just stay here if I can. All this other stuff. You start realizing water just getting depleted. Like, there's like, you know. So, get that. Heading out, like I said. And I was like, that was about like an hour or so. Then, like I said, going to my house, that was another hour or whatever. And I was like, at this time, not realizing that because we can't communicate, that my folks are like, they came to the house after I apparently had already been here, but because we can't communicate, they had to leave a note on the door, basically telling me like to come back or whatever like that. Because I mean, I was, but you just also don't know at this moment in time. I was like, you know, maybe I was gonna stay. I don't know. So and I'm over here, and I'm like, all right, I'm not. I was like, like I said, I try to teach one more time. I was like, I'm gonna leave, and then I'm trying to go this other route. I was like, it's just bad, because I was like, you just realize you can't get through. Everything's maybe one lane if it is, but there's like a tree hanging on some power lines, so it's barely hanging on from falling, or whichever one of them two things fall. I was like, I go past, and this is a tree on top of a car busted out. Don't know nothing about the people, just know that the car is empty. This tree had fell on this car. that like it might have happened simultaneously the way it looked, but you got to keep on going. I was like, I figured it'd be fine. I don't reason I figured it'd be fine because I was like, there's a hospital up around this way, and I was like, it was sort of good to go. So I was like, I imagine they would try to have a path clear for them and stuff like that. But I was like, but because of this is the road I was able to get on that I was thinking of from before. That I was like, there's a clear and easy way to get through spots without having to worry about bridges and stuff like that. You just don't realize that, like I said, the amount of trees and power lines that are right here on the street. You just don't ever realize it while you're driving and stuff like that, of just like, oh, that power line's right here, can fall any moment. Oh, the wires are all here right there. People got to chainsaw and all this other stuff. We haven't had like the people out like that at this juncture, and the mass waves that they became later on in like the couple days. So as soon as I'm just driving or whatever like that, and I was like, once again, there's no service or whatever, so all you could do is sort of think about all the people that you may know and stuff like that, but there's really no way to really deal with, to do anything about it. For the most part, you just got to sort of hope that one text just is sort of like a carrier pigeon and just floats off and just gets to its destination or whatever like that. But it just so happens, as I'm winding my way through, I'm weaving through power lines and trees and stuff like that, I was like, there's a road where it's like, I know one of my friends that I happen to just see them about to back up or whatever like that, and I'm just talking to them, and I happen to see them at the same time, so I talk to them. We're over here getting cleared. They tell me basically about their situation. I go to the house and see their stuff or whatever like that, and it just humongous pine tree just somehow misses the house, misses the tree. Very fortunate or whatever like that. But no, they don't have any power or any water or nothing like that. And I was like, their driveway is just gone. I was like, the neighbor down below, I was like, you see one tree just like basically just like down, and then the other tree crashed through part of their house. I was like, a couple of neighbors over here chainsawing things again. And I was like, it's just chaotic and a mess. And, I was like, she's sort of been able to talk to people, not really in that brief window of time that we had, but she got cut off as well or whatnot. So, luckily, I was like, hey, I'll try to get you water or whatever. I was like, so I got like, luckily that we had like the survival, like camping stuff or whatever. Because the other thing is, it's like I grab a lot of like stuff, like whether it's camping or things like that. So I had lanterns, I had like little like camper like jugs and things like that. So that's why I said, I was like, I already got some of this stuff just on the off chance of anything, yet alone this situation. So that's why I said I was prepared, but not prepared how I normally am, even though I'm not prepared for this situation, but a situation or whatever. But I was like, I was able to get a bag, and I was like bottles and stuff like that, the little like 5-gallon camper jug thing or whatever. And I'm just like, hey, I was like, I don't know when I'm be able to be back, but I'm gonna get you water. They had enough water to do, to drink, and enough to, do your commode. Because I was like, that's also a big thing that you don't realize until that thing is gone. You don't realize that shit is gone until your shit is there. So, you know what I'm saying? So, I was like, all right, was able to leave out of there. And by now, guess what? Your day's over because, like I said, this is the summer. So now, I was like, the nighttime start clocking in early. And I was like, made it home and whatnot. And, we had to figure out basically, all right, cool. Now how are we gonna start cooking the food that's in the fridge before it starts going bad, to be honest? Cause I like, it stayed cold for I want to say it stayed cold really from that Friday until that Tuesday, to be honest. I don't know how. Not the fridge started dying down, but guess what? There really wasn't nothing in the fridge to be concerned about. The freezer stuff is the stuff that pretty much stayed to about that time, surprisingly. Or whatever. I was like, I had some freezer food that was at my house, and we were saving it just in case, and it eventually just failed because I was like, mine didn't happen to say it's cold. Yeah, and that was a problem in that situation. But yeah, so I was like, I don't think it was until the next day. I was like, we had to sort of just find a way of just like cooking stuff. I think our uncle was able to snatch up a grill. I think it was that Saturday, so we was able to luck out. I was like, in that situation, no. It might have been later that we got that grill. Either way, I was like, we happen to have a couple of like burners, you know, like the thing that people use when they doing like plates at like a church, or you know, when you're over here, you know, when you get the lucky few things from your job where they're over here like, we'll cook for you, and it's really just they just heating up food with a little like burners thing. So I was like, we was able to use that for the most part and make shifts of food. I was like, once again, pitch black night. You just got more hours and you really know what to do with. Fine, all in good. Yeah. Then the next day, you sort of really have to do it all over again. Except for now, you're sort of at a point where it's like, okay, I realized that the food I brought really wasn't worth a damn. So we gotta actually find some actually sustainable food, because you don't know how long you're gonna last in the situation. That's the thing, is that it's like, oh yeah, everything's sort of all right in a sense, if you get what I'm saying. Like I said, like there's food in the freezer, but guess what? That's going to perish at some point. I was like, it's like, okay, I might have had like snacks or something like that to like buy the tide for a minute, but guess what? Those aren't even like the snacks that you even like eat in order just to like keep yourself going until your time for your next meal or something like that. Like I wouldn't even say these are snacks for fasting, but you got to figure out. You're still trying to figure out these things. So I'm just like, man, I was like, you know, talking to the neighbors again, trying to figure out where to go and stuff like that. Hey, I learned that a couple spots happen to be open. No Walmart or nothing like that. That's what we were sort of waiting on. But I was like, I learned. I was like for instance, I seen a couple of gas stations open, but I wasn't really. I was like, I got more important stuff to do. But I did try to make my way to a gas station. Guess what? There really wasn't nothing there. I was able to just buy a couple things like I was able to buy some Par-Tars. I was able to buy some sodas. I was like, but they opened up off the kindness of their heart or whatever. They had like 3 people. They over here had to do it the old school way, like you see people, like you seen Bugs Bunny doing the taxi where he like they had to go old school with it. But it's dark in there and you can't see anything, so you just gotta have all muscle memory that you either been to this gas station or you just gotta be a little bit familiar with gas stations. Either way, they also gave you a time limit, so I was like, I just need to grab some stuff just for the day, and I guess I'll do this again. But while in there, once again, you just hearing people in the back just being like, yo, that place is flooded, that place is gone, that place is washed out. You can't hear nothing from those people. You don't know what's gone with that town, but that town's not there anymore, and you're just like, and there's nothing you could do except for off of you got this little bit of signal, maybe if you lucky. And I was like, and that night we was able to get like enough signal to basically, you know, start flirting people of like, hey, you good? What's going on here and stuff like that. But then you start seeing other people being like, hey, I can't get in contact. Can somebody tell me if this family member of mine is fine, this family member is fine? So it's like now you over here doing like some stuff where it's like we're not, especially now in this day and age, you don't have that capability anymore. Like, not saying that, you know, even though they didn't have phone back then, that they would just be able to just spring up and talk. Like, there is still at least a better way of getting that information to that person that's in another state or another town that may not know what's going on here or going on there. But you just sort of feel like for all the technology and all the internet, at the same time, you're also helpless or whatever. But like I said, I was like, you're still trying to get information and stuff like that. So I learned that, guess what? I was like, retail store is up and running, and there's people there by another contact, and I'm like, okay, bet. That's what I'm doing today. Told my neighbors about it, but I was like, this is where I'm going to go. And I was like, cool. And I was like, we was able to go in there. It was up and running. I was like, we was able to go in there. Basically, as long as you wasn't grabbing anything out like the freezers or, you know, really any meat or anything like that, you good to go. So I was like, I'm just over here just spinning. I'm like, all right, granola bars. I was like, tuna fish, blah, they blah, all that type of stuff. I was like, our uncle, I was like, he stayed in South Carolina. That his stuff was up and running. They was ready to go. I'm like, how they already ready to go? We just over here trying to get back. Like they running off generators where we at, stuff like that. Like you can't even piss nowhere because there ain't no water. But I was like, didn't matter. Was able to get I was like just loaded up on stuff. I was like, look, it may not be gourmet, it may not be something that you really gotta whip up, but guess what? It gonna hold you over. I was over here grabbing so many Pop Tarts, cut fruit, and stuff like that. You thought I was at a PTA meeting or a soccer match or something like that with some youngins. So I was like able to stack up that. But guess what? Ring this ugly head. That $10 in gas ain't worth a damn, because now I'm like, great, I'm sort of back in the same scenario. And I was like, well, at this rate, I'm going to just go back to where I sort of already know. That same spot. Went back to that same spot, waited in that line like I did, empty. And I'm just like, man. And I was like, and the thing is, that sheets or whatever, that was the main spot, because everybody heard, ooh, they just got refilled this morning. They got so much in there and stuff like that. That guess what? They ready to go. It's like, oh snap! I ain't know y'all was over here getting refills. That's what's up. But the thing is that you really gonna have to wait in that line. Like you might as well watch a Marvel movie. How long that line was probably gonna take you to really get through. Like yes, it was fast and efficient in its own form, but you won't feel like that if you're actually in the line. Like yeah, once you're there, you be like, oh man, that wait didn't seem that bad. But while you're in that wait, it is crazy. But so I'm like, I'm over here being like, I guess I might go over there in order to get filled up. So as I'm turning around, I'm like, okay, wait, there was this little line across the street. Because I know this is the other day, but I was like, there's no way they got gas if this place ain't got gas. But I decided to, on a whim, to stay in line. Because guess what? What else I got better to do? I need gas again. So I was like, I'm going to be waiting in that line or this line. So I'm like, I'm going to wait in this line. This one don't seem as hectic as that one over there, which it wasn't. And guess what? Full on gas. I was like, hey, yeah. I was like, I filled up on gas like somebody that lactose intolerant. Like, just had a milkshake. Like, I was ready. Like, I'm like, all right, cool. That's also, I was like, it's full. I don't have to worry about it to the brim. I was like, and everything's in cash. So I was like, I paid a little bit too much in cash, and what my gas tank was able to be filled up with. I just kept on pumping until like, I was like, look, I'm going to get all my extra 16 cents of this. So I was like, cool, got the food on deck. I was like, gas straight. All right, now it's time to go back in the house. And I was like, and at this point, I was like, I was like, certain spots were dried out. Like when I left my friend's house from the other day, I just went by this one spot because I was like, I needed to go back into town. But the thing is, the way from their spot to my mom's was not feasible because of how it is. Like I was like, I couldn't tell how flooded it was in the spot, but I did try to go that way, and I was like, one way you just couldn't go because we used to have a trailer park, and the keyword on was because that place is gone, nothing there. Whatever it was, like used to be like a few, like 3, 4, 5 trailers or whatever that used to just sit up there. Non-existent. You couldn't even tell. I was like, the only reason you know that stuff is that there was like trailers there because there was like a couple dishes, satellite dishes, stuff like that left over. Nothing. But you keep driving down further, all you see is this slam pack of trailers just smashed up into the fields or into the trees. Cars just smashed it looked like I was like, I don't want to say necessarily that a bomb went off because I was like, we've seen videos of that. It wasn't on that level, but it was basically just, it basically like if something exploded over there and then the radius hits over here where you just like everything just like busted out and stuff like that. It was just like, that was wild. That's crazy. But on new apartments, they're nice and fine. Anyway, but the bridge that normally is always flooded on a regular rainy day. I mean, like on a real heavy rainy week. Somehow that thing dropped. I don't know who was over here being SpongeBob and soaking that thing up, but empty. Cool, whatever. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And the way that my folks came and see me, like, try to drop off the note, apparently that area was dry too. And I was like, okay, I wonder if now this way is dry. Because I was like, that first time I tried to go, flooded. So I went down there this time. It was dry. I was like, cool, straight shot, cool. I was like, the easiest been thus far. It seemed like everything. I was like, everything hit the day. I was like, water, gas, food, everything hit. Able to basically be like, okay, I don't know how long we're going to be in this, but hey, we're good for right now. And as I'm driving, I was like, I can't think of. I was like, I want to say the propane. Like, it's not like, you know, what you do for, like, your grill or something like that. But it's like the one that normally be on the side of a house or side of a building or whatever like that. If I'll find a picture, I'll put it up. But I was like, they were just all flooded out on the road where you just gonna have to weave around them and stuff. But I was like, and luckily with that, we also had I was like, we got a charcoal grill. Because I was like, our other grill, some bitches ain't want to work that day. I was like, the one we had with gas, because we were like, oh, we got this. Some bitch was just not working for whatever reason. So, luckily, we was able to get a charcoal one, and like the rest of our neighbors. And I learned that other people around town was just pretty much, we just over here just grilling as best as we can until this food goes away. And that basically what it is. So, basically, the last couple of nights have been pretty much leave your car on, charging everything, and you just staying up and grilling as much food until it's time for you to go in your house. And luckily, like I said, had lanterns and stuff like that. I was like, I thought the way I was like, the way it looked that night, and everybody had candles and a lantern and stuff like that, I thought the British was coming. But hey, so yeah, that's day 2 and day 3 or whatever. I was like, after this, I'll probably maybe one more, just because I was like the struggle sort of changed. I was like, I feel like the main hard part was really here, because I was like, I was able to condense it, because there's no point in putting details. This ain't a novel, this ain't a story in that type of way. But I was like, the amount of like the 2 days of like the amount of time of just like 6 hours being like that gone from you just trying to figure out food, water, people, and gas. That was really pretty much what it was in those like first couple days. And like I said, I was like, and the only reason I say, like, I'm not saying that it wasn't a struggle days after that. It's really more complimentary of the people that made everything happen, that made it a lot easier to consume the days afterwards. So that's why I was like, these 2 days, and then I was like, if the last video might just be a roundup of the last like several days or whatever, because this is only at day 3, and I was like, it at least was like 5 more days of like some wonky stuff or whatever like that. But yeah, no, it was. I was like I said, the dodgy signal was pretty much it, because it's not even like you over here needing signal or internet or whatever you want to say in order to basically be entertained or anything like that. It's really just being able to be like this form of communication of seeing people all right, where to go for things. Because that was also another thing too, is that some people were able to get enough access in order to let you know that these places are doing things, but it was really word of mouth, and that really sometimes is shaky, just because by the time you might get that word of mouth, it might not be any point to actually go to any of these places, because the time, the travel there, the gas, the travel there, and depending on when you actually go, just might all make it just wasted effort. And you don't really have that at this time. But at the same time, what else you got to do then to try to make sure that you or your people and all the other stuff got what they need in order to make sure that these days are at least easier, because you don't know how, at this point, you don't know how long any of this is going to last. And that's really more of the terrifying thing, outside of the people that lost their homes and lost being, or being able where they're staying or the people they know. That's just even more compounded on top of all this. Cause I was like, the thing is, depending on what spot you're in, you got different outlooks. And like I said, depending on the word of mouth that you hear or at and your POV, you don't know the situation at hand. You just don't. You just sort of know your situation, and that's sort of like I said, the first steps is dealing with your situation, getting out of your situation, seeing how all that is, and then trying to move to seeing what everybody else is, or if there's anything to be done or can be done, or even just knowledge about whatever's going on. So anyway, like I said, if there's anything I forget here, I'll throw it in the next video, because like I said, I'm trying to make this condensed as all, but at the same time, so it's like, I don't want to give out, I don't want to go by step, detail. But if something comes up, I'm like, oh, that was funny, or that was something happened, or whatever like that, then I was like, obviously I'll put it in. But anyway, yeah, I was like, I guess part 2. That's how I'm phrased. That's the end. Anyway, till next time.